Art is the reshaping of reality by man to present it in an understandable way. As the artist recreates the world around him, it is shaped by how he sees it and what he believes in. The Indian artist did not attempt to depict only the material reality around him. He wished to share the complete experience of the moment, not just the photographic presentation of the shapes around him. Beauty for the Indian artist has been a reflection of the glory of God. In fact, for the ancient artist, the experience of beauty, the ecstasy on seeing nature or art which is truly beautiful, has been considered as akin to Brahmanand or the final bliss. Join us on this journey into the heart of the Indian tradition of painting. Come with us to the gorge of the Vaghora river, where Ajanta was created, to the courts of the Mughals and the Deccani Sultans. Journey with us through the deserts of Rajasthan and the icy lands of Ladakh and Lahaul Spiti. In the verdant south and in the gentle hills of the north, experience the compassionate view of life that is enshrined in Indian painting.
After many centuries of instability in northern India, in the 16th century, the Mughal Empire brought peace and prosperity to the region. From east to west, from Bengal to Kabul, the Mughal Empire united vast territories under its rule. This was a period of significant developments in all areas of life and culture. The founder of the Mughal dynasty was Babur, a Turco-Mongol conqueror who came from Persia. He captured large parts of India and laid the foundations of the empire. His son Humayun, who continued his legacy, was defeated in 1540 by Sher Shah Suri and had to seek refuge in Kabul. He returned to India after 15 years and brought back with him 2 fine Persian painters and many painted manuscripts. This proved to be the beginning of one of the best recognized and most appreciated schools of painting in India, the Mughal School. Humayun's son Akbar was one of the most remarkable rulers of all time. He set up large royal karkhanas where large numbers of exquisite paintings were made. Thousands of artists flocked to his court from all over the country. Akbar was one of the greatest patrons of painting of all times, and under his innovative guidance and his remarkably modern vision, the art of painting developed in new directions. In the early period of his reign, he commissioned painted manuscripts on themes of fantasy and adventure. As he matured in years and outlook, his tastes tended towards the documentation of reality and historical accounts. Extensive histories of the emperors, portraits and scenes of royal and court life were now painted. The paintings made under Akbar are marked by a sense of vitality and energy. They reflect the personality of the remarkable monarch who commissioned them. Akbar's court was one of the most cosmopolitan in the world. Christians, Hindus, Parsis, Jains, people from Persia and Europe all flocked to the magnificent court of Akbar. They brought with them the paintings of distant lands. Copies were made here of numerous European and Persian paintings, and aspects of their styles were selectively assimilated in the court ateliers. Akbar's son Jahangir inherited a vast and stable empire which had been created by his dynamic father. He also inherited his father's great appreciation of art and the traditions of painting which had developed under him. Even as Prince Salim, he maintained his own ateliers at Allahabad, which followed a different style and direction from those of the royal karkhanas in the capital. Jahangir was a very different patron from Akbar. Akbar was renowned for recognizing talent even in the most unlikely places. In his times there was great experimentation, and the ateliers were a crucible of robust influences from all corners of the subcontinent. Jahangir took great pride in being a connoisseur of painting. He curtailed the swelling number of artists in the karkhanas. Only a select few who were known for their artistic achievements and whose styles of painting appealed to him were retained.
When Jahangir came to the throne, he too was enormously interested in painting, and he commissioned paintings from some of the same artists who trained under Akbar and then went into his studio. But the style is very different, the detail is much larger, and so you begin to get glimpses of the sort of jewellery that was used, the way that the stones were cut, the way that they were set.
From the exuberant life of the early paintings under Akbar, we now see the complete transition to an emphasis on courtly refinement and formality. We now see rows of dignified courtiers standing in groups and paying obeisance to the emperor, whose stature is now enhanced in the paintings by a halo. The Mughal Emperor has by now become extremely conscious of his own unique place of great importance in the world. The paintings now exhibit masterly perfection, which mirrors the nobility of the great Mughal court. Jahangir had a keen mind and was deeply interested in the world around him. Whenever he saw something unusual, a new bird or animal, he immediately had it painted for posterity. Zebras, turkey cocks, peafowls, and many other creatures were all painted for him. Albums were produced of paintings of bird and animal studies. These were made with rare, in fact photographic precision, and are excellent botanical and zoological studies. European visitors to the court of Jahangir brought with them many paintings and prints by the masters of their own countries. They knew that these would be valued by the emperor above any other gifts. Numerous European paintings were copied assiduously in Jahangir's ateliers. Jahangir's fondness of European paintings is also seen in this painting of him holding a painting of the Madonna. We see the increasing influence of European paintings in Jahangir's time. Mughal painters incorporated elements such as Western perspective in their own work. Under Jahangir, royal connoisseurship of paintings achieved new heights. In his memoirs, he boasts of his ability to recognize the work of different artists and describes the rewards and titles that he bestowed upon them. The art of portraiture developed to great heights under the patronage of Jahangir. The best of Mughal portraits are as good as the finest anywhere in the world. The emperor sat for his own portraits and ordered for portraits to be made of all the prominent noblemen of his court. The equestrian portrait was also popular with the Mughals. The dignity of a pose on horseback was in keeping with the courtly style of portraiture which developed now. Under Jahangir, the art of making fine portraits became extremely refined. The paintings went far beyond a mere photographic depiction of the subject. In fact, they were often penetrating psychological studies. When Jahangir sent his ambassador to Persia to meet the ruler Shah Abbas, he sent along with him the painter Bishandas. Apart from many formal portraits of Shah Abbas, Bishandas also made an interesting caricature, which brought out the character of the man who Jahangir had never seen.
The painters were an aspect of what one could think of as the Mughal intelligence service. And if, for instance, Jahangir wanted to know what so-and-so was like, who was thousands and thousands of miles away, an embassy would go to that rival ruler with one of the great portrait painters, and the great portrait painter would do from life these almost psychoanalytic studies of personality.
The painting of Inayat Khan on his deathbed is another remarkable study. Jahangir wished to record the very essence of the situation. His condition is highlighted by the placement of plump cushions around his fragile frame. The excellent drawing skills of the artists can be best seen in the many unfinished paintings. The outlines are strong, and the facial likeness of the subject is captured faithfully, with an emphasis on contours. The paintings under Jahangir bring us the magnificence and splendor of the Mughal court. Even the most common persons associated with the life of the court, when shown in the paintings, were rendered individually with complete sympathy and realism. The emphasis was on the imperial stature of the king and the court. Instead of the lively and human quality of earlier Mughal paintings, the accent is now on a formal dignity. Halos now become the norm in the depiction of the emperor. This emphasis on study from life is best seen in the marvelous animal studies. every fold in the flesh, every muscle in the body of the animal is true to life. Yet these are not stiff drawings devoid of life. The Indian artist is always at his best when painting animals. These are not just faithful photographic reproductions. They are painted with a deep sympathy which brings them alive. These works, especially those of the famed natural history painter Mansour, are remarkable for their truthful representation and minute details. Jahangir had in his employment Persian painters, including the master Aka Riza. He brought with him influences of the style which existed in Persia, with sweeping calligraphic lines and highly decorative patterns. Along with the documentation of historical happenings and royal darbars, we see some very curious paintings commissioned by Jahangir. Those things which the emperor could not manage to attain in life are attained in paintings of wish fulfillment. We see paintings of Jahangir symbolically killing Malik Amber, a sworn enemy who he was finding difficult to subdue in reality. The rule of Jahangir's son Shah Jahan marks the highest point of opulence and splendour of the Mughal Empire. Shah Jahan had both the resources of a vast empire and a fine taste and appreciation of art and beautiful objects. He had a sense of grandeur, which is best reflected in his eternal monument, the Taj Mahal, the tomb of his wife, Mumtaz. The perfection of the symmetry, the cool white luster of lavishly used marble, truly reflect the aesthetic vision of the emperor. Among all arts, he was most drawn to architecture and the making of grand monuments which would stand for all time to come.
Shah Jahan is remembered today mostly for the fantastic buildings that he left, the Taj Mahal, the forts, the beautiful marble inlays of pietra dura, semi-precious stones. But he also commissioned paintings, and these have a distinctively decorative quality. The borders in particular of his paintings match in great measure the decoration on the monuments, and so you get a sense of the artists and the craftsmen and the designers all working together. And indeed we know from histories of the reign that every day Shah Jahan had them all go to him in the morning and present all their designs, their objects, the things that they were working on. So there's a sense of great personal interest in every aspect of the arts.
The paintings commissioned by Shah Jahan possess a dazzling, jewel-like beauty. The perfection which he sought in the Taj Mahal is also seen in these paintings. The colors are refined and subdued. The paintings appear to glow with a luster like that of the white marble of his monuments. Shah Jahan had a sense of his place in history and the enormity of his vast empire. His works of art were intended to display the fabulous wealth which was at his command. Like his legendary peacock throne, encrusted with fabulous jewels, his paintings present a world of magnificence. However, the vigour and zest for life, which was present in the Mughal paintings under Akbar, is not to be found in these more formal works. The emperor is raised to the status of a deity in these paintings with a magnificent halo around him. Painters were commissioned to make elaborate and gorgeous paintings of the scenes of his darbar. They often sat in the court to make studies and sketches from life in preparation of these sumptuous paintings. We gain an interesting insight into the mind of Shah Jahan in this painting of his time. Akbar is seen handing the crown of his legacy directly to Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan obviously considered himself and not his father Jahangir to be the worthy successor of the great Akbar. The Padshah-nama, the magnificent account of Shah Jahan's reign, is renowned for its paintings. Each exquisite painting bespeaks the glory of the Mughal Empire and its monarch. Realism is taken to new heights of dazzling perfection. Portraits are highly individualized, and these mark the high point of artistic achievement under Shah Jahan. Dara Shikoh, Shah Jahan's son, had a great love for the arts. He maintained his own atelier of artists and patronized the making of many paintings. We see a painting of him in a discussion with holy men. Though the tradition of painting continued under his generous patronage, it was now clearly on the decline in terms of artistic achievement. The reign of Aurangzeb, who succeeded Shah Jahan to the throne, marks the end of the glorious era of Mughal painting. He was a strict advocate of his religion, which forbade the making of any human images. The art of painting declined under him. Hundreds of painters faced with unemployment travelled to the local courts in Rajasthan and in the hills of the Punjab in search of new patrons. They carried with them the styles learnt in the Mughal ateliers and adapted them to suit new themes and subjects. Even though the emperor had a puritanical attitude towards painting, we do see some portraits of him. We see him as a young man shooting a rifle. We see him as a groom seated on a horse at the time of his wedding. He looks on as his forces capture the fort of Bijapur. Paintings under Muhammad Shah, who ruled from 1719 to 1748, show the last flickering of the grand patronage of art under the imperial Mughals. By now, both the subjects and the style of painting had changed. These were a far cry from the pioneering and masterly works created in Akbar's ateliers and the sophisticated later paintings under Jahangir and Shah Jahan. 2 centuries of painting under the Grand Mughals saw the emergence of a unique and brilliant school of painting. In the best of times, the Mughal court presented a marvelous combination of the inspiration of masterly painters and great patrons. Drawing inspiration and sustenance from the ancient traditions of India and the styles of Persia and Europe, the Mughal ateliers created a new vision in painting. The artistic tradition of medieval India was firmly established. The innovations and the heights of perfection that were achieved here affected the art of painting in all corners of India and for all time to come.